Tonight, our region cops a soaking as a weather front causes flooding and damage. And Port Pirie veterans pause for Remembrance Day.
From our 7 Spencer Golf Studios, your nightly news with John Hunt begins now.
Good evening. A low pressure system has brought damaging winds and heavy rainfall to parts of the Spencer Gulf this morning. In Whyalla, localised flash flooding was recorded in some parts of the city, with some buildings damaged by the rain.
It was a wild Thursday morning start for many people across the Spencer Gulf. A large weather system extending from one end of the state to the other, causing heavy rain and strong winds.
This low pressure system which has been moving across from the northwest of the state over the last day or so to the east and south of that low, there's been some sort of significant rainfalls occurring.
In Whyalla, emergency services were in the CBD after reports water had seeped through the Elders building this morning. Many parts of our region receiving large amounts of rainfall.
There's been 41 millimetres at Minapa. We've had 39 millimetres at Sejuna. Winter Springs on the Eastern Eyre Peninsula have had 27 millimetres, just to name a few.
Forecasters say this kind of weather event during the tail end of spring is unusual, but not unheard of. The Bureau expects it to continue with cooler than average temperatures through to the weekend.
Probably the thing worth noting there is the cool conditions that we're going to be expecting. So quite a cool southerly airstream, temperatures well below average for Friday and the weekend at low.
Mark Zeta, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
A man has died following a crash east of Broken Hill this morning. Emergency services were called to the Barrier Highway, 70 kilometres outside of Broken Hill, around 10 a.m. It's believed a Holden Captiva and Nissan X-Trail collided. The Holden driver died at the scene. His passenger suffered serious injuries, with 2 receiving minor injuries. The Nissan driver also suffered serious injuries. All of the injured were taken to Broken Hill Hospital for treatment. A woman has been arrested after allegedly being found with drugs and a taser by police. Officers searched a Whyalla Stewart address on Tuesday night, allegedly finding a substance believed to be methamphetamine, drug paraphernalia and the taser. The 35-year-old woman was charged with trafficking in a controlled drug and possessing a dangerous article. She'll face court in January. Broken Hill's COVID testing site has been downsized today, with the city going more than a week without a new case. Once again, the focus has shifted to follow the virus, this time to the remote town of Ivanhoe.
The supply trucks and temporary accommodation are back as COVID creeps into isolated communities.
People seem to be doing really well, and community really is in good spirit and quite comfortable with where we're at.
16 Ivanhoe residents have tested positive since Friday. Exposure sites also identified in Louth. Resources to the remote region have been ramped up and include flights ferrying health workers and test samples to Broken Hill, a response which seemingly has adapted after criticism around the handling of Will Kenya's outbreak.
We have actually applied our learnings to not only to Ivanhoe but also, of course, to Wentworth as well. And there are other states who are looking at us at far west.
Broken Hill has now gone 8 days without a case. 7 locals still have the virus. The testing clinic today returning to Crystal Lane, so Memorial Oval can once again be used by community groups.
We think that we can manage it with the current numbers coming through. But again, if the need arises where there's a big surge, we can create other pop-up testing stations.
Local health again citing high vaccination rates as a reason nobody is in hospital.
It's really great that in New South Wales we have now reached the 90% double dose milestone.
Just 5% away from the next easing of restrictions. Lachlan Itter, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
Remembrance Day services were held across the country today, with Australians pausing to remember those who gave their lives to defend our country. Spencer Gulf communities braving the cold to attend services at 11 a.m.
They shall not grow old, as we that are left grow old. On the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month, the Spencer Gulf fell silent as a mark of respect. For veterans, it's a solemn occasion paying tribute to those who did not make it home from conflict.
Remembrance Day is an incredibly important event in our South Australian calendar. It's a time where we actually take stock and we think of all of those people who've served overseas for us.
Services in Whyalla, Port Augusta and Port Pirie going ahead despite heavy rain and strong winds. Onlookers standing steadfast to listen to speeches and the last post ring out over the land.
I encourage everybody to go to a Remembrance Day service and an Anzac Day service. Show respect, show appreciation.
After the ceremonies, RSLs across the region opened up to host the public. In warmer conditions, locals caught up and reminisced.
Whenever you come across a veteran, regardless of where they've served or what they've done, just say thank you. Just say thank you to that veteran for having put themselves at risk, gone overseas to look after us at home.
Edward McCarroll, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
Still to come tonight, Broken Hill families feeling the pain at the Bowser as fuel prices soar. And Whyalla's new jetty once again recognised with an award. Welcome back. Roy Butler says Central Darling Shire is closing in on requirements to have a democratically elected council in 2024. The member for Barwon meeting with local government minister Shelley Hancock, saying locals will receive information on how planning is progressing.
What I've also said to the minister is in the interim, whilst you are waiting to get to the point of coming out of administration, you need to put in place a system that allows the voice of the community to reach into the council and have an influence over how decisions are made.
The Shire has been in administration since 2014, with the last election held in 2012. There's predictions the price of petrol could hit $2 a litre before Christmas, as oil prices climb above pre-COVID levels. Nowhere in our region feeling the pinch more than Broken Hill, already closing in on $1.80 a litre.
Lockdowns behind us, holidays in front, and soaring fuel prices in between.
The oil industry will say that we're trying to make up for probably some losses that we made during COVID.
Global demand for oil increasing, now selling above pre-pandemic levels, $88 a barrel compared to around $20 in April last year.
Production is trying to catch up, and you've got the oil producing companies and Russia going back to the cartel behaviour of trying to slow up supply so that the price goes up.
The RAA saying prices in each part of our region vary depending on the market. Port Augusta's prices driven up by freight demand, costing 5 cents more a litre than an hour down the road. In Broken Hill, it's 10 cents more than Port Pirie.
Wouldn't think that Broken Hill's transport costs would constitute the extra 10 cents.
Meanwhile, price increases on LPG fuel look set to continue, already selling above $1 a litre across our region.
Unfortunately, a dying fuel. People are actually starting to pull tanks out of their cars. And as a consequence, the oil companies are now deciding whether they actually keep LPG on some of their sites.
The advice, as always, is to shop around.
If you're not getting in the habit of using a fuel app, then you're probably losing money.
Lachlan Itter, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
The South Australian Government is looking to grow the visitor economy through nature and heritage-based experiences. It comes as the tourism industry is preparing to welcome back visitors from New South Wales and Victoria.
Building on the rise of nature-based tourism over the past 18 months, the government wanting operators to pivot towards offering outdoor experiences.
We see these as great natural assets that belong to South Australians, and we want to give people the opportunity to sensitively undertake business opportunities in those.
The new grants form part of the $5 million nature-based tourism co-investment fund. Experts say our local coastlines and bushland are a major attraction for visitors.
Nature-based tourism experiences are really important to the Eyre Peninsula visitor, so it's important to continue to grow and develop our nature-based tourism experiences.
A share of $550,000 is available for operators. The Environment Minister challenging businesses to develop innovative experiences.
We really do want the business community stepping up, providing these experience events and accommodation and other ways to get people involved in the natural landscape.
Regional Development Australia Eyre Peninsula, encouraging tourists to continue exploring our backyard.
We're definitely known for our spectacular natural environment, our spectacular coastlines, as well as our inland, rock formations and natural reserves.
Dylan Smith, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
Whyala's foreshore jetty has received another accolade, winning an award from the Urban Development Institute. The judging panel describing the popular landmark as far more than a replacement for the old one.
It's another pat on the back for a much-loved part of the Whyalla landscape. The foreshore jetty winning the Social and Community Infrastructure category at the UDIA's Awards for Excellence.
Yes, our third award for the jetty. This was for the Urban Development Institute of Australia, and we were in the Infrastructure in the Public Area Award, so it's great for the city.
Since the jetty's reopening 1 year ago, the structure has received high praise from all sectors of the Whyalla community. The council thanking residents for their feedback, which helped them decide the jetty's unique shape.
As a council, we're very proud of the jetty. Community should be proud of the jetty as well. So to be getting the outside recognition is great for Whyalla. It's been promoting itself. It's all over Instagram.
In a statement, Whyalla Mayor Claire McLaughlin says the city can be proud of the jetty, which is continuing to attract recognition from across the country. The council now aiming even higher, with the project now competing for national accolades.
We've been very focused on growing our city and making it much more livable for people to move here. The more we can do to promote our city and make it more livable for the residents that are already here and also to attract a workforce is great for the city.
Mark Zita, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
Stay with us. An Australian of the Year roadshow visits Port Pirie. And one of Australia's greatest squash players visits Port Lincoln to promote the sport. The Port Lincoln Christmas pageant is set to bring a festive spirit to the city this year. Subject to SA Health approval, the 2021 edition will go ahead Sunday, December 19. The Port Lincoln Chamber of Commerce is encouraging businesses to submit a float for the parade and help launch the festive season. The Chamber is also looking for sponsors for their Christmas and New Year events. Anyone interested is asked to head to their website for more information. Some of our country's most inspiring individuals are currently making their way around the Spencer Gulf. The Australian of the Year's Tour of Honour, an opportunity for some of the nation's best minds to share their stories.
Australia's best, inspiring those in the Iron Triangle. Doctors, entrepreneurs and visionaries of social change visiting Port Pirie this morning for the first leg of their Spencer Gulf tour. 4 of Australia's leaders spending time discussing their motivations, achievements and future goals.
It's so nice now to be able to get out there and be at these events and talking live. I spent my year as Australian of the Year last year in 2020 talking to the computer screen most of the time.
2020 Australian of the Year Dr. James Miwaki among the group. The doctor is a well-renowned eye surgeon who champions diabetes prevention.
So I received the Australian of the Year award for 2020 because of my work with Sight for All, which is a social impact organisation dedicated to fighting blindness.
The tour will continue in Port Augusta tonight, followed by Whyalla tomorrow. Organisers say it's an opportunity for the community to tap into knowledge, learnings and tools that may help them inspire their own journey.
So it's wonderful that Australians volunteer time to helping those in need in regional communities here in Australia or in poorer countries abroad.
Edward McCarroll, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
Young up-and-coming Port Lincoln squash players were treated to a masterclass from one of Australia's best players. Lisa Camilleri visiting the city as part of a national tour helping promote the sport.
Inspiring the next generation of squash players here in Port Lincoln. One of Australia's greatest ever competitors putting local stars through their paces.
Yeah, it was great. We learnt so much and just technique and how to play, really. Yeah, so it's great.
Lisa Camilleri is currently on a national tour aimed at encouraging people to pick up the game. The city's players taking it all on board.
We know when we're learning the stuff, it's all coming from like the correct place because she played for Australia and all that.
Lisa holds the record for the longest winning streak in women's professional squash, which sits at 27 matches. Those involved learning some new skills.
Probably just like positioning yourself, like always getting yourself in the right spot. If you can do that, you can win most points in squash.
The Boston Squash Club sponsoring the event. Players say there are plenty of positives about the sport.
Competitiveness, and it's just really good for fitness and yeah, playing with your mates.
The club is urging anyone considering playing to visit the courts and give it a shot. Dylan Smith, 7 Spencer Golf News.
Stay with us after the break. We will check what's biting in the Spencer Golf this weekend. And we'll have the weather details with Alex Sykes. Hello again. Time to go around the Spencer Gulf and see what's biting in the water when we cast a line this weekend. Here's our fishing experts with their tips.
G'day and welcome to this week's fishing tips from Port Augusta, Jewel North. Well, just when you think it's turned into summer, winter comes back. It's been quite cold up here and there's still some squid getting caught. A little bit further down around Yatala Harbour and the bottom of the Flinders, but you still can find some squid. Those who did get a couple of squid got a couple of kingfish as well. There's a few kingfish getting caught down around the old powerhouse site and also up around the rail bridge and just off near the Shoreline Caravan Park up here at the top of the Gulf as well. King George whiting, not really good catches of those at the moment as you'd expect. Silver whiting is starting to get caught. And there's a few snook on the troll as well, and Tommy Ruffs up and around the mangroves on those high morning tides. That's all we have from the Jewel of the North.
Hi, Whalers fishing tips this week. Unfortunately, the weather hasn't played game for most fishers, but looking throughout further in the week, hopefully the weather should turn. Land-based across Whyalla, still a couple of nice big schools of salmon. They are holding up on the Becky Point and the Black Point coastline. Land-based, there's been a few yellowtail kingfish sighted and a few captures as well, so definitely get amongst those. There should be a few nice bronze whaler sharks holding up this time of the year off the land in the same areas as well. For the boat anglers, should still be a few squid hanging around and a few whiting down towards Mount Young grounds.
G'day and welcome to Fishing Tips in Port Lincoln. We'll start over the Coffin Bay side this week. There's been plenty of whiting reports through the farm beach grounds and also out towards the pool. You will have to measure a lot of fish, but numbers are pretty good still at the moment. There's been some nice garfish and a few trevally through that area as well. Inside the bay system at Coffins, there's been some nice salmon, even some fish up to around about a kilo and a half. Back around Port Lincoln, there's been quite a few squid caught around Billy Lights, up along the North Shore and even off the town jetty. Well, that's all for this week. We'll see you again with more tips next week.
To the weather now, and as you saw earlier, it was a wet one in most parts. With all the details on that and what's coming this weekend, here's Alex Sykes.
Thanks, John. And you aren't wrong. Wild weather certainly did hit parts of our region today. A severe weather and flood watch warning remain current for parts of the region. And I'm sorry to announce, but the wet conditions are set to continue over the next couple of days. But we should see the back of those wild conditions. From 3 p.m. today, Port Augusta was 13 degrees, Broken Hill had showers and was 15, and Clare was just 7 degrees. Looking further out across the region now, Whyalla was 13, Port Lincoln and Cooper Pedy were 14, Port Pirie reached 12, Adelaide got to 15 degrees, Woodner, Cleve and Kadina were all 10. Taking a look at the satellite image now, widespread cloud forming over South Australia around an intense low pressure system is gaining moisture and generating rain and a few storms. Rain and storms are intense in the north, leading to some flooding. Only light rain is reaching the south, while it is dry for now in the southeast. Moving on to tomorrow's weather outlook now, and we'll start with the Gulf waters. Southeasterly winds 20 to 30 knots, seas 1.5 to 2.5 metres, and south to southwesterly swell 1 metre. Showers continuing into tomorrow. Port Lincoln to reach 17, Cleve will be 16, Woodner will be 18 degrees. Showers and 18 in Whyalla, showers easing in Port Augusta, also 18 degrees. And Kadina is set to reach 19. Port Pirie will have 18 degrees. Clare is set to only reach 14 degrees. And Broken Hill a shower or two and 17 degrees there. Now to that all-important weekend forecast now. Showers again on Saturday. Port Augusta, Woodner, Whyalla and Kadina all to reach 19. Cooper Pedy will be partly cloudy and 20 degrees, 17 in Port Lincoln. Clearing up a little bit on Sunday, cloudy in Port Augusta and Whyalla with 19 degrees, partly cloudy in Broken Hill and Cooper Pedy, possible shower in Woodner and a shower or two in Port Pirie. A look at next week briefly, sunny and 24 in Cooper Pedy on Monday, Woodner cloudy with 20 degrees, partly cloudy in Port Augusta and Broken Hill to reach 21 and showers in Port Lincoln, Port Pirie, Kadina and Adelaide. And indeed, I'll say it again, John, keep safe out there, everyone. And that's all the weather from me for tonight. It's back to you.
Thanks for that, Alex. And that's the local news this Thursday evening. Thanks for joining us. I'll have updates later, and we will be back tomorrow night at 7 p.m. Until then, enjoy your evening. Good night.